Hi guys, and welcome to today's YouTube where we are going to show you how to apply a gel polish. We realised that we haven't done one of these in absolutely ages, just a basic standard gel polish manicure, so let's get going. So we are going to be doing Sam's nails today. Sam is our lovely graphic designer, our new graphic designer, and she has virgin nails, so they haven't been done in, would you say years?
Yeah.
Right, so they are completely virgin, which is quite exciting. Nice to get our hands on. So what we're going to need to get started today, so the products that we are going to be using is we are going to be using, sorry, just put my hands back just for a second. We are going to be using X Prime, our base coat. Now you can use a couple of different options for your base coat. So you could use our standard gel polish base coat. If you're wanting a little bit more strength, somebody's nails are maybe not quite as strong, you might want to use something such as Ultima Gel or Flexi Gel. Those are another two options for a base coat that you could use. You can also use X Gel as well. But today we are going to be using the top coat. You're going to want a colour. This is not the colour that we're using. And you're going to be wanting a top coat as well. So primer. Is that annoying, Chris? Primer, base coat, gel polish and a top coat. So that is what we are going to be using today. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to do the prep. I'm going to show you one hand on the YouTube here, and then we'll whiz through the others so that you don't need to watch that again. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sanitize Sam's hands. This is the only point that we are going to be adding any sanitizer or cleanser or dehydrator or anything like that to the hands, because we believe in a dry prep that we think it just creates much better adhesion. So it depends if you do manual prep or not. If you do manual prep, you're going to want to use something like a nail file. For a gel polish, you can technically use a buffer, but we always like to adopt the same method of prep for any system that we're doing, regardless of what it is. We find that you tend to make less mistakes going forward if you just have the same prep for every type of system. So our preferred method of prep is to use a nail file, a 180 or a 240 grit nail file. And if you are doing a manual prep, you're just going to gently etch over the natural nail. You don't need to go over the same area more than once. You're just wanting to remove the shine and create a nice grippy surface for the gel to adhere to. Again, we're not wanting to file through layers of the natural nail. We are just wanting to get rid of that shine and just prepare for the gel. However, as we all know from this channel, I prefer to use an e-file, so I'm going to use a sanding band just to do the same thing. I like the sanding band because it helps me do my cuticles as well. You'll notice that I start at the cuticle and I use the sanding band to sort of push the cuticle away, remove some of that dead protein from the nail plate, and it just speeds everything up, I think, quite a lot. I do think you just get, as we all know, I think you get a much better level of prep with an e-file than you do by manual prep. Although some people are really good at doing manual prep, that's just not me. I guess it's about what you like as well. But the main aim of this portion of the prep is to remove that surface shine and create a nice grippy surface for the gel to adhere to. So I'm actually using a mini sanding band, a mini mandrel from Lucy Pastorelli. I've just really fallen in love with them recently, and I think from a teaching point of view, a lot of students I found are quite nervous about sanding bands. And I don't know if it's the size that maybe puts them off, but students or people that I've spoken to recently about the mini mandrels and mini sanding bands have said, oh, I think I'd be much better with that. So give it a little dust. I'm just going to continue doing this nail manually. So you're going to want to push back the cuticles and release any of that dead protein from the skin. To be honest, if you were doing manual prep, it's better to push the cuticles before you do your etching, because you may expose some more of the nail plate. I just kind of hadn't anticipated that I was actually going to do a little bit of manual prep here. So in a second, once I've nipped the cuticle, I am going to just go back in with my nail file just to get that area that I've exposed down at the cuticle. There we go. The rest of the fingers I am going to continue with my e-file prep. So the next bit that I am going to use, I kind of go in different stages of what I like to use when I am doing my e-file prep, but right now my preferred order or my preferred bits that I'm using is after the sanding bands I will use the mini barrel squared, which is what I'm using right here. Absolutely love this. I actually just love all of the mini e-file bits. I think they're so good for cuticle prep and just creating a really, really clean finish. So I'm just doing that left hand side in forwards. Then I'm going to pop my e-file into reverse, and I am going to do the right hand side. The reason that we do that is because otherwise you're going to get a much cleaner finish on one side than the other. Do you know, it's something that I actually didn't know about until I did like proper e-file training, was that you should use it in different directions. But it does make such a difference. What bit do I want to use next? Do you know what I'm going to do now? First, I'm going to knit the cuticles. And then I'm going to go in with another bit that can just smooth everything out, because sometimes after you've knit the cuticles, the skin can be a little bit raggly. Raggly? Scraggly? Is that even a word? And I think it's nice just to go in with a different bit and just smooth things out. You could actually just spend all day using different bits doing e-file prep, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that.
If you had to pick 3 bits. Sanding band's quite
What, 3 bits ever? Sanding band, mini barrel squared, barrel. Is that what it's called? Diamond barrel. Yeah. Ooh, little threatening one there. Pardon?
Can that cover everything in terms of prep and
Prep, but not removals. That's the only thing. So now I'm going to use the barrel. I like this guy for sort of smoothing things out.
Someone asked in one of the last videos what the noise was in the background. There's so many noises in the background, and I just want to clarify something. You've got country music in the warehouse, which is next door to us. Right now there's packaging going up, so you might hear that. Also, there's what sounds like a drone passing overhead sometimes, and that is the scenting system. It's on a wooden shelf, and that's why it makes that drone noise, because it's got like a kind of echo to it.
Yeah, so we just actually launched our scents for the scenting system last night. So we've done it in conjunction with Lucy Pastorelli, who has the diffuser, the tower for the scenting system, and it's just a really good way of creating a sort of really nice ambience in the salon. Just a nice scent, you know. We always used to have wax warmers in the salon, but they're just so expensive. I just find that the scent really didn't throw very well. And you were having to replace it all the time, so I think it's much better buy for money, much nicer scents, and a much better scent throw as well, so you're covering sort of a bigger area with the scent. Okay, so what we're going to do now, once we've done all of that prep, is I'm just going to gently shape the nails. Obviously we don't have much of a free edge here, so we are just kind of going to do what we can just to neaten them up. Hopefully the nails will grow really nice and long, Sam.
Not working here.
Sam's got 2 young kids, so that's the reason that she's not been able to treat herself and get nails. Would you usually wear extensions or just
yeah, not a really long extension, but yeah, making them a little bit longer than they are just now.
So it'll be a good test of the gel to see how it lasts, I know.
Yeah.
Would it normally be acrylic you would get on yours?
I used to get acrylics more, but in more recent times I've gone for more gel.
Yeah. Acrylic's really kind of on the way out, I think. I think it has been for quite a while, to be honest.
Yeah, that was when I first started getting my nails done, so I would have been late teens probably.
Yeah, acrylics.
A while ago.
I do think a lot of the high street shops still do them.
The non-standard salons, yeah, I think they all still do acrylic. I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's been that long since I've even walked past one.
It's funny, Rebecca calling on someone in the gym the other day to ask if she would help do content. And when the girl said, "Oh yeah, just get them done in the high street," Rebecca's face dropped.
Yeah, well, because I looked at the nails and I was like, oh, didn't look the greatest. Like product that was on. Thought that's going to be a challenge. Got a little injury over here, but that's to be expected. So often when it's like, let's talk about nipping clients. That actually happened before I even used the nippers. So especially clients who aren't used to getting their nails done regularly, their skin is often a little more sensitive and they are going to be a little bit more reactive. That's totally normal. These are the people that you're likely going to nip, or you're going to get a little bit bleeding. Obviously you can see that's not actively bleeding anymore. So what we'll do is, once I've given the nails a file, I'm going to clean that up, and then we will crack on, and it won't cause us any issues because, again, as you can see, it's not actively bleeding at the moment. But it is going to happen, you know, and people get so concerned about it. Obviously we don't want it to happen, but we're using sharp instruments on people's skins, and different people's skin can take a different amount of sort of work. So it's just...
Would you say it just confounds that as I'm not getting it done frequently?
For some people,
maybe you'll have like...
But you get some people who get them done all the time, and I can think of staff members that we've had working for us, and it's like, it doesn't matter what you do, you just touch them and they bleed. But again, that happened before I even had the nippers, so it's just different people.
Here's a question. Following on from the last YouTube video, chefs always say that you get hurt more with a blunt knife. Do you hurt, or can you hurt clients more with blunt instruments, like for instance nippers, if they're maybe a little bit older?
Potentially, I guess so. I guess. Or is it maybe the injury's worse with a blunt knife? Is that what a chef means? I don't know. Okay, so that is our prep done on this hand, ready to paint. I'm going to quickly whiz the prep on the other hand, which you guys are not going to see, and then we will come back and start with the gel application. Okay guys, so we have prepped both hands. We are ready to go, and I am now going to apply our primer to all the nails. So just the key points here. I've done my prep. I am not now adding any dehydrator, cleanser, acetone, anything like that. I'm going straight in with my primer, and that is all we are doing. We did a TikTok, a little bit of fluff, and I'm not sure if it's been on the grid yet as to why we don't recommend using any other additional dehydrators, etc. Essentially, over dehydrating the nail can lead to early lifting and things like that. So we want to ensure we have a very nice clean area that we're working on. And people say, well, what do you use then to clean it if there's dust? A brush, a dusting brush. I'll show you guys the brush we use, one of our dusting brushes. I'm going to use a guy like this. The silicone bristles, really nice and easy to clean. So you're just going to use that. Okay, so I have applied our primer, and now I'm going to go in with our base coat. So this is a really important step. So this is the step that is going to decide how long this manicure sticks to the nails, essentially. So you want to, this is your foundation layer, think about it like that. So you want to ensure you are laying it down really well. So we don't want a big thick layer of gel, we want a nice thin base layer. And we want to really ensure there is good contact between the brush and the natural nail, so that the gel can get into all of those little etches and grooves that you have just created during your prep. So take time over this portion, don't just sort of float the gel over. Again, as I said, we don't want a big thick layer of gel. We don't have much of a free edge we are working with on some of these nails, so it's a little trickier. Nothing like a challenge to do on a YouTube. Our normal base coat that I am using just now, people have reported fantastic results with it, even though it's not, you know, a builder or a rubber base or anything like that. But for a standard base coat, very strong and very adhesive, even though it is hypoallergenic. So a really good product. And even better, as I'm going to show you in a second, is that it cures in just 30 seconds. So it really speeds up the treatment.
And as always, as soon as we start filming a YouTube video, every truck in the world decides to park outside.
Great. So once we are happy with our application of our base coat, we are going to take our Lumi lamp here, Oh my goodness, Laura could have given it any clean up. There we go. And we're going to cure for 30 seconds, and I'm just going to go ahead and do the same over on the other side. Okay guys, so I am going to be using a colour from our new spring collection, which isn't out yet, so this is a bit of a sneak peek, and it is called Meadow. I only have a sample bottle of it, and I'm using a lid from another bottle, and it's not going to come in minis, so don't get excited. But anyway, it's called Meadow, and it is a beautiful sort of muted pastel green, and we absolutely love that. So I'm going to get started with our first layer of this, using this tiny little stem brush. So we don't want this to be applied in really thick layers. Our gel is really quite pigmented, so we always want to ensure we are working in thinner layers so that the gel does get a full cure. Something I've been really enjoying doing recently, I'm going to show you probably on the other hand, is applying gel using a gel polish using a gel brush. I think you can just get such an amazing finish with it.
What do you mean?
You can get so close to the cuticle.
Well, what do you mean, like a different brush from the
Yes.
brush that comes in it?
Yes. So sometimes when you're doing a gel polish, just a standard gel polish without a sort of thicker structure base, you'll notice little bumps in this first layer that'll be, well, in the base layer that'll be highlighted by the first layer of gel. You can sort of see there. That's just where your grooves have been, or your etches, and then you've got your thin base coat over the top. Do not worry, by the time you apply your second layer of gel, that will have smoothed out. So this is the brush that comes on all of our gel polishes, and you can see it's such a beautiful shape for painting close to the cuticle. This is one of our short stem ones which comes on our mini bottles, so the ones on the standard bottles of gel are obviously longer than this. This is a really nice Eastery colour, slightly muted.
Yeah, you can see it on an Easter card or Easter egg box.
Yeah. Pistachio. That's what it is, isn't it? Like a pistachio colour. Maybe we should have called it pistachio.
What did you call it? Meadow?
Yeah, I think it's called Meadow. And then over on to our thumb.
Do you want to tell the viewers how easy it is to name gel polish?
Really quite difficult. You think it's a great job and people get really excited about it. They're like, oh, I'd love to help. No, you wouldn't want to do it again even after you'd named like 5. Trust me.
Because then you become responsible for names that should have been pistachio instead of meadow.
Yeah. But we were on a bit of a theme, so it'll be interesting to see if this video comes out before it launches. Okay, so we're going to pop in for 30 seconds and then we're going to do the other one. So I'm just going to quickly show you what I mean with the other type. So you want to use like our gel applique brush here, and you can either decant some of the gel onto a palette like this, but this is a really nice way just to do your very first layer of colour, because a brush like this is so much finer than any brush that you will find on a gel polish. I think our brush is the best brush I've ever experienced on a gel polish, but you're not really going to be able to emulate that in emulate a gel brush like this in a gel polish brush. But you can just get so much closer to the cuticle. Just get a really beautiful finish. So you only need to do this for your first layer, and then your second layer you can just go back to using the brush that comes in the bottle. But I just find it just gets that first layer of gel down so beautiful and so close to the cuticle. I just thought I would show you guys just 2 different ways of doing it. So I'm actually just going to show you guys a comparison, just to see what I mean about the thickness of the gel using this method to the previous method where you're just using the brush that comes in the bottle. You know what would be really good, and I say this all the time? A clean-up brush. That would be great. Instead of my nails in a glove.
You should really send a memo to the product development manager.
Yeah. Okay, in your box.
Just don't know Sam, that's Rebecca.
Yeah. Okay, so this layer is completely cured and ready to go for the second coat. I'm just going to wait until the other hand is cured, just so I can show you the slight difference in how thick the gel has gone on with the brush that comes in the bottle compared to the brush if we're using a separate gel brush. To be honest though, the application is still very, very similar. But it was just something that I was enjoying doing, just using the separate gel brush. Okay, so you can see 30 seconds goes by so quickly. So you can see that the gel that's applied using the gel brush is a lot thinner than the gel that is applied using the brush that comes in the bottle, and that is just because the brush that comes in the bottle picks up a lot more gel, so it has a lot more transfer, that's all. So sometimes if you are using the method with the separate gel brush, depending on the brand, our gels are very pigmented, but depending on the brand, you might need to end up needing to do 3 layers of gel instead of 2 if you are using that that method of using a separate gel brush rather than the brush that comes in the bottle. So now we are doing our second coat of gel, and again we're going to keep this quite thin. We don't want them to be too thick and not get the gel cured properly. And now I'm just going to go in. I've got a little fine liner brush here, and I'm just going to make a little neaten up over here at the cuticle, or where the cuticle turns to the side roll.
Is there a recommendation of how many coats of gel polish you should do?
I would say it depends on the brand entirely that you're using. I don't see a world in which you're ever using 3 coats of our gel, but just because it's so well pigmented. But other brands of gel, when we had the salon, we have used that many coats. I think if you're having to do 3+ coats, but often with your gel polish, you should really probably have a look at the brand that you're using, because I would say it's quite wasteful and it shouldn't be necessary.
But say for instance you can get away with 1 coat, would you rather do 2 thinner coats?
I probably would, just out of habit more than anything else.
It's just when you're talking about the kind of bumps and undulations and the natural nails.
The thing is that these days it's so rare that people just get a standard gel polish.
Yes, it's not like a base, like a rubber base or...
Yeah, a rubber base or something like,
extensions.
exactly, or like our Ultimate or our Flexi Gel, which is just going to give you a slightly thicker base than a standard base coat. The standard base coat is a lot thinner a product, so you are going to use a lot less. Just what happens when you use different brushes and different bottles. And so there's a lot of talk about like capping the free edge and this, that and the next. I would say with our gel polish and builder systems, you don't need to be super particular in any way. Just do what you're comfortable with and it should work for you, because it is just a really simple product to use. It just works, except when you've got fluff. Top tip is as well, if you're having a lot of problems with your retention, with chipping and things like that, first thing I would check out is, are you using the lamp to the system? Believe it or not, that does help. A lot of people think it's a sales ploy by brands such as ourselves. I used to think that myself. I wish I could just see those people. I just wish I could lend you a Lumi lamp for the day and then you'd be like, okay, no, that's not what's happening here. There is massive differences in the quality of gel lamps and how they work.
Do you want to share some of the what you mean by that? So for instance, the makeup of the lamp?
Yeah, and it's just the general the quality from lamp to lamp, especially when you're talking about cheaper brands, it can be inconsistent. So where one lamp works fine, the other lamp isn't. Maybe they stop being effective very, very quickly. You need to replace them very often. The bulbs aren't high quality. That's what I mean. So even with a high quality lamp, you do want to be changing your nail lamp every sort of 2 years with a high quality one. The ones that we use in the salon are, you know, ones that a lot of people use, the cheaper sort of ones. I don't want to talk about brands or whatever because I don't want people to feel bad or whatever. But we use the cheaper ones in our salon, and we had to change them every 3 months. Like genuinely, it drove Chris insane how often we were changing those bloody lamps. So is that good value for money when you're having to change it all the time? You're spending 40, 50 pounds, well, 50 pounds I think, a time on a cheap lamp, where you could spend 179 pounds say on the Lumen lamp. That's going to last you 2 years. But 50 pounds on a cheap lamp, you're going to have to replace 4 times in a year. It's a false economy. There you go, Sam, if you want to put your hand in.
But for me, it was always a case of I would see the lamps in the salon and it'd be disgusting, so changing them every 3 months was a good way.
It was also, well, other than the fact that they weren't working properly, it was a good way to get rid of the grossness.
I think it is good. It goes back to the false economy. I think if you invest in something a little bit more expensive, like
but they also didn't have reflective bases, so it was like a plastic that was really hard to get the gel off of, whereas a reflective base is so much easier to get the gel off of, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose it's kind of like when you buy expensive like trainers, you don't walk in puddles. If you could cheap trainers on, you'll have to jump in those puddles all day.
This is very true. So we are just going to paint our second coat on the second hand. This is the hand that we put the base layer down with the separate gel brush, just so I could show you guys that. And if we remember, I'm just going to quickly, before I continue, just show how, see it, all those little bumps that was present just after we did the base coat, they aren't there anymore. So yes, all smoothed out by the gel. So I'm going to just go ahead, paint this second coat, and then we will come back for the top coat. Okie dokie, so once we have cured our second coat, we are going to go in with our top coat. So again, you don't want to apply it too much, but you are going to apply a thicker layer than you are, say, of base coat. Make sure we get a really good coverage right up to the cuticle, right down the side walls.
What does top coat do?
Seals it all in, keeps it shiny. Without top coat, it would just go very matte and chip, and because the gel underneath is a lot softer than the top coat. So again, you don't want the top coat to be too thick, otherwise it's going to end up running off the nails. Is that the time?
DPD time, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So this is a non-stick top coat. We don't call it non-wipe because it is said that even with these non-stick top coats, there will be an inhibition layer that is not visible to the naked eye, or not feelable, I guess, to the naked hand. So we still encourage wiping with IPA, etc. But what I would say about wiping with IPA is the same as cuticle oil. Wait for the nails to have cooled. A really common mistake that people make is as soon as the nails are out the lamp, they whip out the IPA and wipe over them. And I find that dulls things slightly. Exactly the same with cuticle oil. Just wait a few seconds for the nails to cool. You know, 10 seconds, 10 to 30 seconds.
So there's no real temperature coming off the lamp, but there is a thermal reaction?
Yes.
Gotcha.
You will feel a slight temperature coming off the lamp. Let me have a check before we go in. In we pop.
We used to do a gel polish, a quick drying gel polish.
Quick drying?
We called it Express.
It was an all-in-one gel polish that we'd had in the
The
salon.
heat that would come off that customers, and we had to have this. I don't know if you're watching this YouTube channel and you remember anything like this, leave a comment down below where you would tell the customer who is absolutely in agony to take their hands out of the lamp and tap it on top.
In fact, it wasn't that gel. It's actually a gel that's still in production from a very reputable company.
Yeah.
Bleep this out. It was.
Oh yes.
The heat spike on it was unbelievable.
But that all-in-one one.
If you just pull your hand out for me, Sam, just put it to the side. Excellent.
The all-in-one. That was very good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. But also, we shouldn't be encouraging putting colour straight onto the natural nail. You do always want to put a base coat on, because it can stain the nail, just as an example. So we do always want a sort of protective layer. Oh, don't think I reached the end with this one.
We really have been around the block with different brands as I'm using them.
We have used a lot of different
That's the thing,
ones.
it's like sometimes you go to a hair salon and they only use like Wella or something like that, or Schwarzkopf, you know? So they only know that one brand. With Rebecca, she tried everything. At least
Yeah, we've tried, yes.
At least
Definitely.
Just to see if it was right for us, for the salon, for the customer, because
Especially in the early days of gel, it was like, we used CND shellac, because that was the very first gel. Although it was a hybrid polish. But then as time went on, we weren't happy with the colour range. We found it was like a bit more old fashioned, and then other brands such as Gelish started coming around, and Gelux and Gel Bottle and stuff like that. So yeah, we have literally tried everything. Okay, in you pop.
Is that a white bottle that you used to get from Salon Services?
Black bottle from Salon Services, yeah. Oh no, Capital? Maybe both. Okay, so we have, this is now fully cured. We are going to, they're cooled because they've been sitting at the side for us just while we were doing that other hand. So I'm going to use our Raspberry Lemonade multi-purpose spray on a lint-free wipe, and we're just going to give them a quick wipe down just to remove that.
Change how much IP?
I think it's 70% off the top of my head.
That's good enough to take off that layer.
That is, absolutely. So
Also smells good.
it does smell fantastic, smell your hand.
Oh yeah.
And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to neaten up the free edges there. I just saw a couple of little raggedy bits. And sometimes it's just a nice thing to do. Also, it can actually reduce chipping if you file the free edge afterwards, especially when you're doing treatments with chrome and things like that. But for a lot of people, it's just nice just to have a nice little neaten up. And then it's time for our cuticle oil. So, where's my wee brush? There it is.
Sam, what cuticle oil would you like to try?
Ooh.
Let me give you some options.
Does she even know all the options?
Snowberry is like in a winter /
What type of scents do you like? Do you like really sweet scents? Do you like more fresh scents? Do you like...
Probably more fresh, like eucalyptus and kind of mint or...
Okay, so maybe cactus and sea salt.
Yeah.
Or...
Dropper, you want?
Maldives. Like, what have we got
We'll
here?
do Maldives.
I've got cactus and sea salt right here, actually.
Okay, but I think Maldives for Sam is really good.
Is that a sample one?
So-
Pesta. Could you get me a packet of these, please? So I'm going to do something really, really weird, guys, and the only reason is because I'm going to take a picture of these nails and you're going to be like, what is she doing? So one of the things that really annoys us as a brand is we can see a beautiful picture of nails, but we can't share it because the nails are just saturated with cuticle oil. I'm just going to remove this little bit of gel right here. There we go. Yeah, so the nails are saturated with cuticle oil. We're not going to use the picture, so it's really nice just to apply it really delicately. And because we're going to be taking a picture of this for the new spring summer range, so that you guys can see it on the website, I'm going to apply this very, very carefully and not liberally. If you can do it more liberally when you've got a client in front of you, but I'm just going to show you what I do. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of cuticle oil just on the back of my glove here. And then I will take a this is very particular, but just an insight into my world. And then I'm going to take a microfiber brush. And I'm just going to wipe off the excess. And then I'm just going to very, very gently apply
This
it.
is also quite good if people are not the best applying it to then take pictures with paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Just be very particular, guys. You also want to make sure you get it under the free edge as well. A lot of people don't do that with cuticle oil. It's equally as important to nourish and hydrate under the free edge as it is around the nail. So yeah, that's what another thing I like using our microfiber brushes for. And then you can just gently just go in, make sure you don't get any of the oil on the actual gel. Just give it a wee rub in. And that is the gel's finished. Beautiful, perfect. So you're going to apply the same method of application no matter what colour you're using. Generally, no matter what brand you're using, most brands will recommend a base layer, 2 colour coats and a top coat. Of course you can use matte top coat as well, and you can use different bases as well, just depending on the client. Remember, we are promoting a sort of a prescriptive type manicure when we're not necessarily reaching for the same product for every single client, because not one size fits all. So that's quite important to remember. But I hope that was helpful, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. If you did, make sure you give us a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to be notified when we release our next video. Bye, guys.